Hello, it's Ruby, and it is that time of the year where I get to say that the academic planner is returning. I get so many questions about the planner the whole way through the year, but we only do release the academic planner in September because it runs from September to August. And I wish that we had it available all year round, but it wouldn't make sense because of dating. So I designed this planner to be the perfect planner for students. It's got everything in it that I always wanted to have in a planner. I have always loved planners and I've always depended a lot on my planner, but I ended up going between so many different ones because I couldn't find one that satisfied everything I wanted. So I had an academic planner, I also had a moleskin, I also had a bullet journal where I made spreads, and so many of the spreads in this are inspired by the bullet journal spreads that I would use and kind of make during my time at school. So in this video I'm going to introduce you to the new academic planner, which as always is better than it was last year. Like every single year we try to improve on it, and this is actually the 5th year that we've also released one, which is kind of mind-boggling. 5, that's like literally, that's so many. 5 years, that's a really long time. To celebrate that and to commemorate that, we wanted to do something a little bit different. So as well as adding new spreads, which of course we have done because we always do, we have also this year for the first time got different colour options, so you can get a planner which suits your own aesthetic, which is really exciting and very fun, and I really can't wait for you to start using these planners. I always love seeing how they look on your desk and in your desk space, and I can't wait to see you using all of these different colours. So of course, first, what are the colours? And they've all got slightly out there names because you can't just call them blue and purple. So first of all, this is Blue Starry Twilight, and it's this lovely bright blue with these cute little stars and moon doodles on. I adore this. But this colour is the one I'm going to use as my everyday planner, which is the Lilac Falling Leaves. So it's this beautiful purple colour, which is kind of very similar to the very first study planner we ever released on pumpkin productivity. And it's got these absolutely beautiful falling leaves and falling letters, which are kind of the same illustrations that we had on this year's academic planner. Then we have got Green Tea. And again, I adore this. This one is probably my second favourite, and it's got a little candlestick and then an ink bottle. It's beautiful. And then finally we've got Fresh Parchment, which is this very light cream colour, and this one doesn't have any illustrations around the title because this is intended for people who prefer a more minimalistic desk setup. And if you're really stuck on which colour to go for, we've also got a personality quiz on the website to kind of like help you decide, because I'd say each of these has a very slightly different vibe. But anyway, I'm actually going to get into setting up the planner now, and as always I'm going to bring you along with that and show how I'm decorating it, and also introducing you to all of the spreads and especially all of the new spreads.
Alright, so we are starting with the cover. So as I say, there are 4 different colour options, but the one that I'm going to be using today in this video is the blue one. Though actually halfway through I switched to the purple because I realised I wanted purple to be the one that I used, so please ignore the fact that the colour changes halfway through. Honestly, the only bad thing about having multiple colour options is it's so hard to choose which one you want to go for. So as always, on the first page we have the opening letter, like a little letter from me about the planner, and we've used the same design and background from last year. And then on the other side, because it's plain, of course I have to decorate it with something, so I added this wonderful Roald Dahl quote, which is one of my favourite quotes. Then on the next page we've got an About Me page, of course, but not just boring questions. Yes, we have the practical questions like email and place of study so that somebody can find you if they find your planner, but also fun questions. My favourite bit is at the bottom where you can track your favourite book, movie and song at the beginning and the end of the year, so I added in my current favourites. Then we've got a key, very self-explanatory. We've got done, cancelled, will do later, event, priority in progress. Of course I filled this out with the exact same key that I use in every single planner because coherence is important. And then there's also a colour code section, so I'm not actually in institutional education next year, so I don't have subjects per se, so instead I've used this colour code to colour code the different aspects of my life and different commitments that I will have next year. And then there are some quick motivational based questions on the other side. So next we go on to the contents page, which I always decorate with a torn article from the New Yorker. I just love the way that it looks. I think it's really fun to be able to customize your planner so that it's individual to you, and I always would encourage you to do just that. I love kind of adding little scrapbooky bits to mine. Then we've got a self-care page. You will notice that this planner is quite self-care heavy, and also there are more self-care spreads than there used to be in the first plan that we released back in 2020, because self-care, looking after yourself, protecting your mental health is so important and really integral for actually doing well academically. So we've just got a few prompts here, like things that are important to me, so that you can kind of keep your priorities in mind over the course of the year. And in a similar way, things that you'll make time for this year. It's really easy to get distracted and let all of your favorite things fall to one side, let relationships fall to one side because you're so focused on academics. So this page is really, really important, and I would encourage you to fill this one out if you do get it. Then we've got a page for academic goals, so just kind of tracking ideally the grades that you want to be getting in each of your subjects, but also more importantly, at the bottom there is a box where you can write down what you're excited to learn this year. So one thing I'm really excited to self-learn is about tragedy, and I want to become really familiar with it as a dramatic form. I know about tragedy, but I don't know as much as I'd like to. Then we've got the morning and night routines tracker, of course. I've never seen this in another planner, and I don't understand why, because it's so useful. So you can use this just to write down your ideal morning and evening habits, things that on an ideal day you would be doing every single morning and evening. I always make mine an ongoing list. So if you try something new and you realize it really helped you sleep, you might add it to your evening habits. I'd recommend using this list when you're making morning routines and night routines and planning what your routine's going to look like for, the school holidays or for term time, to make sure that you're doing all of the things which are going to make you feel your best. Then we've got a page for monthly goals, both academic and personal, very self-explanatory, but just again, keeping on track and thinking ahead. When you have a plan for yourself like that, it's easier to kind of trust the process because you know that you've already planned it, and I think that's the beauty of planning. Then there's also a page for things I want to accomplish, which is slightly different to last year and the year before. And so we've got a list of places you want to see, things you want to try, and then a mini bucket list, a mini life bucket list where you can write things down that you just want to do at some point. And I think lists like this are just great for getting you excited and realizing all of the possibilities and things that there are to do. There's also a page for clubs and societies. There's a little timetable so you can write down where your clubs are and what they are. There's also a page for things I want to learn more about. Always, because how often are you sat there and then you read something and you're like, I'd love to know more about this, and then you can write it down here, and when you have a bit of free time and you want to research something, you've got a list of things to come back to. I love using my one of these and would really recommend you starting one. There's also a page for recommendations, because again, when you're with a friend and they recommend a song or they recommend a book, but then you write it down in your notes app or in a post-it note and you lose track of all of them. This way you can keep them all in one place, and I've also added a recommendation on there too. Next, we've got the to be read page where you can track maybe one big book that you want to read in each of the months. So when I use this page, I always add a classic, like a big classic that I want to make my priority read for that month. So that's what I was adding here for September, October and November. And then here we are, the books I've read page. This is my favorite, the little bookshelf which you can fill out with all of the books that you've read, a little virtual paper bookshelf. I adore this page, and it's such an essential one for bookworms and book lovers. And even more wonderfully, we've actually got an extra one this year, so not just one page for books but two, because we were getting lots of people saying that they were filling out the whole of their book page. So hopefully this will be more sufficient and you'll be able to track everything in here. It also looks so wonderful at the end when you filled everything out. There's also a library book log. Would highly encourage you to use your local library or your academic library. When we use libraries, they get more funding, and it's also just a really affordable way to read books, but you don't want to be returning them late, so you can use this log to keep track of when your library books are due. And then next we're going into the calendar, so you might want to use this to highlight term dates, etc. Just a useful one to have. And then we're into kind of the prepping for back to school pages. And these ones are some of my favorites because it is so much fun to prepare for back to school. So here there is just a little checklist of things to do before back to school, and I still filled this out because I will talk about this later, but I do have very set academic goals for this year, and I plan on September still being a kind of academic start date. And then on the next page, we've just got some journal prompts for getting you excited for the new academic year, because going in again with a good mindset, with excitement, kind of romanticizing it, I think it's really important. It makes it more fun.
So now here we move into the monthly dividers, and as you can see they are the same as they were last year, just because we really like the cozy academia theme. So we've got this little ink pad here, and then there's a blank page here where I always put postcards, and I will set that up in just a minute. Then you've got a calendar where you can put in key events, which is just very useful to have as an overview. And then we've got a monthly and a weekly overview, which we've kept from last year's planner, and I loved using this last year.
So I thought I'd quickly show you how you actually use the monthly planner. So there's a long to-do list section on the side where you can write down your full to-do list of main things to get done. And then at the bottom there's also a space for deadlines, so you can keep track of like essays and homework that you might need to get done. This is so useful. I loved using this during my master's last year. And then on the right hand column, there's a space for your main goal for the month, so the main thing you want to achieve. Also an affirmation, kind of an intention, something you want to bring to this month. Then next, a prompt of something you might do to look after yourself that month. And then there are 2 mini to-do list boxes of proactive things to do and then exam preparation. So basically just tasks that you can do this month to look forward. And you can basically just fill this out on the last day of the month, and I think it's a great way to stay organised and prepared for the month ahead. And then you can separate your monthly to-do list into the mini weekly to-do list, which are on the next page. So that's what I'm doing here, just to demonstrate. It's very useful, I must say, even though I am biased.
And then we go into the daily planning spreads. This is exactly the same as last year because it does work really well and we get such good feedback on this. Every week has 3 pages. So we've got half a page for each day of the working week, and then the weekend has half a page. And this means that you've got plenty of space for what students often have as like a very long to-do list. There's also space for events, reminders, admin tasks, and then a little notation of how long you want to spend working. And there are all of these little quotes dotted throughout, little stubby tips. So this just goes the whole way through September.
So just to demonstrate how you actually use this in practice.
And then we get to October. There are also little illustrations throughout. And then throughout there are also additional spreads. So for example, here we've got one on academic reflections, which is why I deserve to succeed, which is such an important affirmation and quite a good prompt journal-wise for self-esteem. 3 things I love about myself, which is such a cringy one again, but also so important for like increasing self-esteem. And then testimonials. So the idea here is that you give it to somebody and then they can write something they like about you, favourite memory, and something they want to do together. And there is also additional academic reflections. So we've got things that get me motivated, study break ideas, things that help me de-stress, and study psych ideas. And then we've got December, where there's a notes page, and then also a space for gift ideas and tasks to do over the December month, because often there are lots of tasks to do. For January, we've got a few more spreads. We've got a 2025 bucket list, things I'm excited for this year, little notes, and then more notes, because notes pages are always so useful in planners. For February, we've got mid-year reflections, because of course February is halfway through the academic year, so there are just a few prompts there. And then this is really cool. Basically it's for making flashcards, so the idea is that you can fold this over and then use it as a little like prompt for key things that you're struggling to remember. Then for March, we've got a little list of reasons to be happy with a cute little quote from John Lennon, because we love John Lennon. April's illustration is one of my favourites. I just love this little umbrella, and we've just got a mid-year reset for like spring cleaning here, so lots of little things that you might want to do to get yourself more organised, which can always be good before exam season starts. Then May, we've got a master to-do list and also an exam timetable, because we're coming into exam season. June, I think, just has notes. Oh, we've also got something else. We've got an exam tracker, so reflecting on your exams once they're finished and like seeing how you think they went. Forgot we had that one. July, we've got things to do for myself during exam season. You might want to like go ahead and do this in April or May, but it's so important to prioritise self-care during exam season so that you can do your best. And we've also got a few little handwritten reminders, as you can see. And then finally we've got August, come through, where we've got a summer bucket list, some yearly reflections, and a notes page with this little picnic basket. Okay, so then at the back we've got some new spreads which are very exciting.
Now, most of this year's new spreads are at the back of the planner, and these are also more learning focused as opposed to planning focused, which I'm so excited about introducing. So first we've got a vocabulary page for writing down new words as they come up. And then we've also got a space for quotes, so if you read something which just makes you go, wow, that's incredible, I want to save that, you can write it here.
And then we've got a study in common placing, which is one of the most exciting things that we've introduced, and I'm going to give you a walkthrough on how to do this. The idea is that you could start getting into common placing, and this is like your first introduction to it. So we've just got 4 pages of common placing.
Common placing was very popular in the 17th century, and Adam Smythe has written about the early modern period as having a commonplace culture. When you commonplace, you're basically grouping together ideas and thoughts and quotes all related to a single theme. So on these pages you can write in a key heading and then write in quotes that relate to that thing. So I've used the example of time here, copying from my own commonplace book.
Then we've just got a load of notes pages, as always, because, as I say, notes pages are useful, and some master to-do lists before we've got our little accomplish this year spread where you can write down things that you accomplish every month, again, as a form of motivation. And then you might want to follow this prompt and stick your timetable here, but that is the end of the planner.
Of course though, the last thing as always to do is to customize the planner. I always add postcards to the other side of the monthly divider. I think it's a really fun way to personalize your planner.
Okay, so that is my planner all set up. It's so beautiful and I cannot wait to use it this year. I use my planner every single day. Here's my one from last year. So just to actually show you that I use this every day. This planner has been used, I don't know if the lighting is good enough for you to see. And I've used it basically every day for the last 4 years, like since 2020 when we released it. Like, obviously I'm biased because I designed the planner, but I genuinely do think that this is the perfect academic planner. So anyway, I'm going to answer some key questions about the planner now. Where will it be available to buy? It will be available to buy it on Pumpkin Productivity, and the website will be linked down below. It will be available on the website from Thursday the 15th of August, and so if you're interested in buying one, then head over to the website then. Do we ship internationally? Yes, we ship internationally. We ship all over the world. We don't make any profit on shipping costs, obviously, but depending on where you're shipping to, there may be taxes, so just be aware of that before ordering. And I know it's annoying, and Honestly, it's specifically annoying for within the EU, now that the UK isn't part of the EU, because taxes are charged, so just be aware of that before ordering. Is there a digital planner? Yes, there will be a digital planner, and that will be released on the 1st of September. If you live outside of the UK, that might be a good option. I have a copy of my digital planner downloaded on my iPad, and I like using it when I'm out and about. It definitely is like a good option if you don't need a physical one. How much will it cost? It will cost £18.50, so it costs the same as it did last year. And just to be super transparent, last year all of our production costs went up, but we still tried to keep the planner as low as we possibly could, so we reduced our profit margin so we could keep it low. I know that it is still on the pricier side. This is the most affordable we can make it without compromising on quality, because obviously it is very high quality. The paper like withstands highlighters, which is amazing. It's no longer quite watercolor grade. Like, you could use watercolor, but you would be able to see it very slightly through the planner. I'll give you an example on the screen so you can see, but you can easily use fountain pens, feather quills without it bleeding through, which is always good because we love writing in fountain pen. Is the binding more secure this year? Yes, it is. This is the big thing that we have changed about this year's planner. You'll be able to see this actually slightly. Maybe. So this is last year's planner and this is this year's. This is very slightly thicker, even though this has more pages, and that's because we've very slightly reduced the GSM of the paper, which is why you can no longer use like watercolor paints. The paper quality is still really, really good, but just having a slightly lower GSM means that it's thinner, and so the binding will stay more intact, which was really, really important to us, because I know that it was a problem for some people who like use their planner a lot and brought it out of the house and put it in bags and things. So this year's planner is sturdier, which I'm so happy about. This was the big thing we wanted to change and like improve on from last year. What new spreads have we got? The common placing spread, the vocabulary spread. We've got 2 pages for tracking books you've read, quotes page. I'm sure that there are others. They're the ones I can remember. Is the inside the same regardless of the colour cover? Yes, it is. They're all identical on the inside. How much is shipping? All shipping costs are on the website. Oh, it's also made from recycled paper, if you're interested to know. I think that's everything. Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As I say, I'm so excited to share this planner with you. September is my favourite month of the year, and the lead up to September is my favourite, and releasing this planner is a big part of that, because it always just feels so surreal. Because as a teenager, my dream was always to design an academic planner, like the perfect planner for students, and now here I am holding one, and holding a planner which so many people have said have helped them at university and at school, and also to know that this is the 5th year we're releasing it. Like, it really is so surreal, and it's a dream come true to be able to design and release these planners. So thank you so much for your support, like for watching this video, for people who consider purchasing. Like, genuinely, it means so much, and as I say, it just feels really surreal. Also, just quick caveat, but we do have some free printables on the website too, so if you can't afford to buy the planner, or you can't afford to like buy a physical product, we've got a few free digital planners, including a back to school checklist, so definitely feel free to go download that if you want. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have more than just a productive week.